The Old City District of Philadelphia is the birthplace of these United States, home of the Liberty Bell, Independence Hall, the first post office, and some of the first debates on life, freedom, and unalienable rights. Philly represents rich history through blue historical markers. Just a few blocks from where the Declaration of Independence was signed stands a marker for Pennsylvania Hall. This Temple of Liberty was to be a center for abolitionists, the first of its kind. It was constructed here, the home of WHYY. It stood for less than a week in 19th century Philadelphia. With the Declaration of Independence signed and the Revolutionary War almost a generation away, Philadelphia had solidified its position as a center for new ideas. Independence was only the first step. Nationhood requires definition of personhood, of ownership, of the freedom to speak. On a freedom note, by 1830 there were 150,000 freed Black people in the North, 169,000 freed Black people in the South. At the same time, 2 million people were enslaved in the US of A. Of the 47 founding fathers who signed the Declaration of Independence, 34 owned slaves. Some of the most radical activists of the time were abolitionists, who understood that although the transatlantic slave trade was abolished, the North had not fully disinvested from that peculiar institution. Organizations like the Philadelphia Female Anti-Slavery Committee, Quaker activists, free Black people like James Forten, alongside newly freed Black people, needed more than anything to have a safe place to defend the rights of enslaved people. Workers, mothers, freed Black people, preachers, a collection of 2,000 people came together to fund a building through shares of $20 apiece. Anyone who couldn't donate their money gave their time and materials. Pennsylvania Hall held an abolitionist bookstore, an abolitionist newspaper's office, and a storefront source with slave-free labor. The second floor held a grand auditorium where activists could discuss the path to universal liberty, protected from violence. On Monday, May 14, 1838, the hall welcomed a crowd of white and Black residents of Philadelphia to celebrate. Organizers immediately put the space to work, hosting several well-known and local abolitionists. Angelina Grimke rejected her family's slave-owning ways and married Northern abolitionist Theodore Dwight Weld. The wedding celebration in Pennsylvania Hall was an integrated one, mostly unheard of at the time. Black men and Black women socialized with their fellow white citizens, celebrating the radical union. The event drew the attention of several white anti-abolitionist Philadelphians. Each day the hall stood. Abolitionists gathered, freed people debated, and the pro-slavery crowd outside the building grew larger and louder. By Thursday, May 17th, the mob swelled, numbering in the thousands. Unchecked by both the mayor and the sheriff, the anti-abolitionists breached the hall. Firemen arrived on the scene and were instructed to let the hall burn. Anyone who attempted to put out the fire had the hose turned onto them. For the crimes of affirming the human rights of Black people and allowing women to speak their minds in public, Pennsylvania Hall was burned to the ground by a crowd of angry white men. Rioting from this crowd continued for days. They went on to burn down an orphanage for Black children and continued to terrorize abolitionists. By the morning of Friday, May 18, 1838, the once great building was reduced to a charred frame. The burning of Pennsylvania Hall caused mixed reactions from the media. Where abolitionists saw enslaved people as fellow humans violently imprisoned for exploited labor, this mob saw a threat to their work and their way of life. There were few arrests, but no trials, and lawsuits pursued by the abolitionists were unsuccessful. In today's money, the $900,000 building paid for by like-minded workers and organizers was burned to the ground, and no one was held accountable by the city of Philadelphia. The ruins were left by the city for 2 years, a stark reminder of the fragility of the right to free speech in a new country. The burning of Pennsylvania Hall increased the urgency of abolition for every American. The ashes served as a barren monument to a clear national divide of the right to freedom, specifically of freedom from mob rule. Despite the fire, abolitionists throughout the nation continued to organize, appealing to emotion, solidarity with enslaved workers in the South, and a sworn mission to define liberty for our futures. 185 years after the burning of Pennsylvania Hall, we've seen the fight for free speech continue in ever-evolving forms. The right to free expression, the right to just be as you are, the right to demand safety for Black lives. The next time the city burns, what side will you be on? Who will you speak up for? What does freedom mean to you? For more information about the burning of Pennsylvania Hall and for more episodes like this, check out our WHYY YouTube channel. Be sure to answer in the comments, what does freedom mean to you?